Throughout her career, Ashley has been able to gain a host of experience. Even the company that she's the co-founder of today, while it may make you a little hungry, it is not what you may think it is. And really, she talks about her career beginning nearly 17, 18 years ago, and how SEO, which she really specialized in to begin with, was nowhere near as difficult as it is today. She talks about some of the stories with her clients, them coming to her, telling her what they wanted to be at the top for when it came to Google results, how she could plug and play some things and it would be just that easy. But how over the course of some time, she's had to learn different tips and tricks. A lot of what she shared with us gave us some insight into how you could really continue to progress, because she said things are always going to be changing within the industry when it comes to digital marketing, when it comes to social media, everything of the sort. But she said as long as you continue to keep that strategy in place, as long as you think about your end goal, it will always be attainable. So look, I'm not going to take her gems away from her. I'm going to let her give you everything that she had from start to finish. Without further ado, enjoy episode 181, Strategic Progression. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Down to Business podcast here with Tamar Turner. The year is moving right along and we are here with it. I'm excited because we're getting closer and closer to 200 episodes. I was talking to one of my friends earlier in the year and he was really kind of putting it into perspective for me that we were almost there. And, you know, for those of y'all who followed the journey with me for 50, how big of a deal we made for 100, for 150. I don't know why, but I'm super excited for 200. I almost feel like a kid in a candy store, but I really just owe a sense of gratitude and appreciation to each and every one of you for tapping in with me for this long, for all of the amazing hosts and hostesses and guests and interviewees that we were able to talk to. It has really just been a journey. And we're continuing that along. We're sitting down with Ashley today. And I'm pretty sure, like, just from the research that I did, just from some of the information I heard about her, I'm pretty sure that she's going to be able to help a plethora of people who tap into the podcast, a plethora of our audience, a plethora of her audience, and even some newcomers along the way. So I'm excited to get into all things that she does, for y'all to tell her a little bit about herself, for her to give us her brand, her business, and everything of the sort. But before we get to that, Ashley, how are you? How's everything on your end?
Oh, I'm doing so good. Thanks for having me. And congrats. Wish I was the 200th episode, but I'm not. But that's so exciting for you guys. It's an amazing journey for sure.
I appreciate it. I feel like I'm going to try to time this as best as I can. My live people know that sometimes I'm a little off. I feel like you'll be between 180s and 190s. So you may even be in the 190s. So you may be close. So we'll see what we can do to move some.
I'll take it.
You will definitely be close. But no, so I know that, you know, you do some amazing work. You do some amazing things. You have been of assistance to a great number of people, and I want that to continue. But I know we're also going to have, you know, some people tapping in from our end, from the Down to Business side. I know you're going to have some people tapping in when you share this out to your network just the same. But my favorite, we're going to have newcomers along the way. We're going to have people who probably know nothing about either one of us, but are tapping in, finding out about the podcast and this episode in some capacity. So to give everybody an even playing field, to just put everybody on the same page, can you, one, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then can you, two, just tell us what brings you on the Down to Business podcast today?
Sure. So my name's Ashley Stamford. I live in Huntington Beach, California, out here in Orange County, and I am the Executive Vice President of Client Strategy at Ticket Socket and co-founder of Ice Cream Social. And I also do a lot of consulting, business consulting on the side. So I'm hoping that I can share, knowledge for anyone that is consulting, freelancing, maybe working in the event industry, marketing. I can really go wherever we want to take this today. I can talk about anything.
She's versatile, y'all. That's the first thing that I'm hearing. So I absolutely love that. I love the Ice Cream Social name. I'm going to have to get me some of that on my way out here today. So thank you for bringing that up just the same. But okay, so consulting, specifically business consulting and everything that you do, where did this start? Was this a high school interest? Was this even earlier than that? Was this like a college degree thing? Where did your story, where did this journey really start for Ashley, and how have you been able to kind of revamp this in a sense?
Sure. So I would say, I guess going into marketing was a pretty easy choice for me right out of high school, because in high school, it was really the only class that I got a decent grade in, a class that, the content kind of felt like it came natural for me, where other classes I struggled. So that made it pretty easy for me to choose marketing as my career path. And as I first got into marketing, as you know, there's lots of different things that you could do, and especially in digital marketing, there's paid media, there's email, SMS, and I started out in search engine optimization. And I loved it. And I think what I loved most about it is that I grew up playing a lot of video games, a lot of time spent playing a video game in particular, which was Mario Brothers. And it was really the only game that we had. And so once you beat a game and you don't have much else to play, like you really got to get creative and challenge yourself again. So my brother and I would be like, okay, let's see how fast we can beat the game this time, or this time, let's see how many coins we could get. And I really feel like my love of doing that translates into marketing and optimization, because you'll have a campaign live and there's always tweaks that you can make. What can I do to these Facebook ads or this search engine optimization content to, make it bump up a position in Google, or to get a lower cost per acquisition on our Facebook ads. So to me, digital marketing feels like a video game. I love that.
I like that comparison. I love Super Mario. I'm a video game person just the same, so I can definitely relate to that. I would say me and my little brother. Well, sometimes it was more so just me. He was a little bit younger, but even him, I noticed as he kind of got older and started to run through things, he would get more creative with it. Maybe we were more so on the Call of Duty side of things, so maybe we could use particular weapons on particular maps, or the possibilities are endless. But I can definitely speak to that. We all have our favorite game or games, and once you never get tired of it if you kind of keep it creative. So SEO is something that, to me, it's not hard, but I definitely think that it requires a certain type of just skill set of research, of consistency and persistence with it, because I feel like it can be done, but I also feel like sometimes we can just be shooting in the dark, or we can hear from these gurus, or we can hear from people who've been there, done that, but it may not work for your niche specific, or maybe for the platform that you're on, or for the content that you're pushing. So I feel like it definitely has to relate to where you are. So with SEO specifically, I kind of just want to get right into it.
Let's do it.
Is there a formula to this? Could any content creator also optimize their own search engines? Is this something that, because I feel like we have digital marketers out there, we have people who specialize in that just the same. I definitely don't want to knock them, because I feel like they do a tremendous amount of work, research, keeping up with the times, everything that's kind of going on now, and that you have to stay updated with. But I guess, and even more so, you can speak to your journey when you answer this. What was it like really learning that? Was it something that was difficult? Was it really, that was your interest? So it might have been a walk in the park for you. But would you say there's kind of like a playbook out there? There's a blueprint. There are rules that you have to follow. What does that really look like when getting into SEO specifically?
Sure. So when I first started my career, which was many years ago, I'm talking 17, 18 years ago, search engine optimization was not the same. It was so easy. I would build a website, someone would tell me the keywords that they want to be number one for. I would update their website, and within 2 weeks, they're number one. It is not that easy anymore. And I can't say that SEO is my main focus, my specialty. It's become an area that has expanded so much. It's an area that I do know a lot to be dangerous, but um, I don't have a blueprint that I would hand over. I would say if you are a content creator, a tool that I use every day is called SEM Rush. That one's a paid tool. I'm sure there's other free tools, but that'll kind of give you some data around keywords and what content to create. So one, you got to know if someone's Googling something, what's that keyword that you want to be shown for? And essentially, you just got to build that foundation of content, and you have to learn how to take that piece of content and essentially spread it out all over the web and link back to that core piece of content. So I do think it's, I don't know if numbers game is the right word for it, but it is a game of consistency, uh, numbers in terms of content you're creating, mapping back to that keyword. And it is a long game. Like, you got to be patient. It could take you a really long time to rank for the keywords that you want.
I'm glad you spoke on patience, because that was definitely something that I would say I had to develop just the same as you spoke to, like 17, 18 years ago coming into business. 17, 18 years ago, I was very young. So I wasn't really doing too much searching per se, but agree to your point of I feel like it was definitely easier to search the web to find certain things to get it. Back then, you kind of knew what you wanted, you knew the results were going to be consistent. I feel like now you could really go down a rabbit hole. And I feel like you could be looking for one thing and it give you this. And sometimes it seems unrelated, or you're just like, what did I search to get that, or everything like that. But then also from the content creation side, you could want to put yourself out there for this, or want people specifically to a niche to find you in this. And you could be getting found over here. Like sometimes the way people tell me that they found out about the podcast or where they came across of it is so interesting to me, because it was just like, wow, I wouldn't have guessed that. Or one, I didn't even know we were over there. We were doing this, or we were doing that. I love how you spoke to in the beginning just about the versatility that you have, and just how you can kind of dibble and dabble in a little bit when it comes to just digital marketing as a whole. Now, I want to take a deeper dive and just find out from you personally, was that something that you came into this field and you wanted to make sure that you were as versatile as possible because you recognize how quick it was expanding? Or would you say it was more so a thing of you learned as you went? Or was it a combination of both? Because I feel like sometimes, even with the podcast, like I came in here with a interest and expertise, and I would say just public speaking, like just talking to people, just loving that. But going to different platforms now, I've got into like the video editing, the audio editing, just making graphics and different things like that. You can't tell me that I'm not a graphic designer sometimes at night when I'm making flyers and just making things like that. It was definitely things that I would say I learned over time. They kind of came. It wasn't necessarily skills that I thought I was going to put to use until I actually started podcasting. So for you, for the avenue that you're in and kind of for the lane that you're taking, how did you kind of start to amass all of these skills that you have?
Yeah, it happened very organically. I didn't set out my career and say, you know what, I want to understand all of it. I got into one thing which I mentioned earlier. I started out in website development and SEO, and then my network of clients and prospects would come to me and say, hey, there's this thing called Facebook that just came out. How do I market my business on that? And I was like, I don't, let me find out and get back to you. So then I moved into social media marketing, and then things like paid ads became a thing on social. So I learned how to do paid, and then I became very driven by the idea of results. How can we get the best results? And then I learned, oh, well, it's not all about social media. I do need to know how email marketing works and how SMS works. And really, it's just driven from wanting to get the best results possible. And I'm not always going to be able to master all of these skills, but also if I know enough about them, I can confidently hire the right person to execute that piece, or be able to manage strategy and work with the team on their pieces that they're experts in, and know how to pull it all together into one. Because if you are managing a strategy, you're going to have one person that's doing social media ads, and that's all they know. They don't understand organic content or how to do the email marketing or the SMS. So you need that one person that knows a little bit about all of it to bring it all together.
That Swiss Army knife. You need that person that dibbles and dabbles in a little bit of everything. But no, a lot of what we speak about here on the podcast, just as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a serial entrepreneur, is the importance of just having multiple skills and tools and resources under your belt. Because the times are ever changing. Like you said, even as you spoke to, thinking about the social media world, thinking about what existed 17, 18 years ago, comparison to now, I think a lot of us are mind blown. And it's just like, we didn't think that there were going to be. We got the TikToks now. We got the threads. We got the reels. We got the shorts. It's too much to keep up with. It's very overwhelming sometimes. It can be sensory overload. Just I got to push content for this, or if I got to make sure my video is edited vertically so it'll fit on here and this and that. It's so much just to consider and to recognize. So, okay, even more so speaking into about how you came in and how organic the journey was. At what point did you really realize that you were ready to brand yourself? You were ready to really take this on as kind of like, because I feel like a lot of time, well, one, let me take my hat off to you, because I was actually just talking to this about my cousin the other day, and shout out to Javon as well and DJ. We were talking about website creation, and I was just saying, like while I used to think some people were just out of their mind for some people I do think are out of their mind for these prices that they're charging for website maintenance, creation, management, and everything. But as somebody who has used your WordPress, the most simple forms of like website creation, and have struggled tremendously, And to see what people do behind the scenes, to see what it takes, the HTML, the coding, my little brother's into that, and to see what he does, it's like gibberish to me. I can't really get it. It takes me back to the MySpace days where we kept it very simple, and even that was difficult in some capacities. I have to take my hat off to you and to all people who create websites, manage websites, upkeep websites. To me, from tomorrow, it's hard. It's difficult. It's not something that I would take as an interest and just do myself. But it's something that we all need, and it's something that once you really see everything that goes into it, okay, the prices aren't too bad. With you specifically, when did you when did you really like just stop looking back, just never have any doubts about it, and really just realize this is what you wanted to do, not only full time, but brand yourself in the same regard?
Hmm. Loaded question. I would say, as far as branding myself, it's still not something that I say that I'm doing or feel comfortable about, or, I don't necessarily, I know inadvertently I'm out there building a brand, but that's not my goal. I'm not saying I'm going to build my brand. It's happening organically, and I'm kind of pushed into it because I built a network. People ask me questions. I have a lot of knowledge to share that I want to share, and I'm just putting it out there. And, that's how it's happening for me. Um, really, I'm not trying to build a personal brand, but everyone has one. So I'm just gonna share my knowledge and put it out there.
Okay, I like that. I love that you touched on the common questions and just things that people kind of come to you with, and how you spread that knowledge and how you're a facilitator of that. So for what you do for, just I guess, people, whether they be tapping in for the first time, whether they even be in the industry, a niche, or even have a need for one, what are some common questions that you would say that you get, whether they be on kind of like a daily basis, whether they even when you're doing like consultations and different intro meetings with clients, or do you feel like there are just things out there that are just really common, or maybe unbeknownst to people, like unbeknownst to outsiders? I would call myself an outsider, like somebody just who may not necessarily think they need a digital marketer or somebody in that space until you really start to ask your questions, or do go down kind of your list of things that you go through. Because I've had that happen to me too, where there were certain elements that got introduced to me as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and it was just like I didn't think I needed it because I never thought about it in a sense like that. But would you say that there are certain things that business owners, entrepreneurs, content creators, they're not necessarily thinking about that you could be of assistance to, and that questions that you kind of answer to?
Yeah, I would say two things. Um, and it comes back to one word: strategy. So I have two things about strategy. The first one, no matter what your career is, as a maybe freelancer building your own business right now, maybe you do websites, maybe you do email marketing, maybe you do advertising, whatever the case may be, it would be really great for you to understand strategy. And there's a lot of books out there on that you can look up and read, because yeah, things are changing fast. And I've been in the digital marketing for, crazy to say, but almost 20 years. And yes, it's changing very fast. There's always new tools, always new tactics, always new ways of doing things. But the one thing that has really not changed is the strategy. And so understanding that while working in a career that's fast moving will help you kind of age timelessly in a way where you don't always feel like your head is just above water trying to keep up on all the trends. So I'll throw that out there for anybody who feels that way right now. And then strategy, in the sense that is something that I come across a lot working in digital marketing, where a lot of businesses do not have a strategy. They're trying a bunch of different tactics, but they don't know how to pull it together into one cohesive plan. And then that can create issues in your marketing where you think you tried TikTok ads and it didn't work, so you throw it out the window, or you tried this and it didn't work, so you're done with it. And you're always moving on to something, looking for a magic pill. But you need the right strategy in place, and you need to know how to think long term and have long term goals, but also know how to stay on track but remain fluid. It's a balance, it's a dance. because things can change in the plan, but you need to know how to still keep strategy and reach your end goal.
I love both of those, even more so when you said age timelessly, because I definitely do. And I definitely have even had people on here who have spoken to that. And I've talked to people where it feels like, just when you kind of master, or just when you get used to, or just when you think you figured out one thing, oh, five more things are out now. Oh, now they're doing this because they're all competing with one another. They're all kind of have the next best thing in a sense. And it's nothing like just feeling like you're just continuously just fishing that rod and fishing that rod and fishing that rod and trying to get to something. Or like you said, sometimes you necessarily don't like something because it hasn't worked the way that you thought it to, or it hasn't worked the way that you saw it work for someone else. And I think sometimes too that can deter us. That I would say it really not necessarily deterred me, but something that I was very late to the game to, and people who are tapping in or people who are listening will attest to this. I did not want to get on TikTok. I was just being very stubborn. I kept telling people, hey, like, I don't have the content for this. I feel like I'm going to have to revamp everything that I do. I feel like everything that I do is kind of longer. I'm already on here. Why do I have to keep moving around? And I promise you, like, once I got over my own self and once I just stopped being stubborn and stopped
Yeah.
making excuses and I got on there, I realized that I had so much content that was already repurposed. I just could shorten it, or I just could do this or put an effect on it or do this and do here. And it really worked for me. And so sometimes it really takes just diving in, or sometimes taking a step back and really realizing that maybe I'm just making this harder than it has to be. And tomorrow we'll do that a lot more times than you should be. But no, I think that with when experimenting with things, when trying to figure stuff out, it's so important to just have that trial and error to learn, to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then just go from there. So, but you also kind of mentioned too, on top of just, I love that strategy, but I love how you differentiate it between tactics and strategy, because I do feel like that's very different. You can have a lot of tactics and just kind of things that may work here, tips or tricks, but what does that fluid look like? What does it look like when you put it all together into a plan? And sometimes it's hard for that to come together.
Yeah.
With So 20 years ago, 17, 18 years ago, it's crazy. You've been in business 20 years ago. I like that though.
Thank you.
If you could look at what was going on back then when you first came in versus what's happening now, what you're doing now, the questions you've answered, the consultations, the brands, the businesses, everybody who you're kind of working with, what has mind blown you, or what has opened your eyes the most? What is something that I guess you've you may have thought that wasn't going to happen? Or what is something now that you're even learning in this industry? Because I could imagine that, like you said, just a lot of the work, a lot of what kind of the effort and what went into SEO back then, marketing back then, website management back then is not nearly what it takes now to, because things can get really like nitpicky or tidbit. What's something that's just opened your eyes the most about this industry? And it could even be something that you're learning now, because I feel like we're definitely in a different time, or it could just be something that maybe a customer taught you, a client taught you, or something that you just got along the way.
Sure. I would say one for anyone who maybe has an idea and wants to do something and you just don't know if it's going to have longevity. Like I remember 17 years ago, like starting a blog, and I was just like, what am I doing? Nobody's reading this. And it was a blog that I let go of. And then over the years, like I've, created new blogs and other things. But I always think back of like, if I would have just kept that consistency in doing something over and over again, uh, I think I could have seen really cool things happen. And I think for anyone out there creating content, I mean, essentially, if we're talking back to strategy, it's just like you're creating a strategy around content creation. And a podcast, I mean, what's your end goal in all of this? A podcast, a TikTok, those are just your distribution channels. Those are your tactics, essentially. Um, and so that's one thing. It's just, you know what? Just do it. Stay consistent, because consistency like really is the key to success. And it will evolve over time, and maybe 2 years from now it'll look different, but it's going to set you on that path. And you're going to learn a lot of skills. So whatever that is, if that message resonates with you, just do it. And I would say, I guess I was, we know the AI was all coming, but it did hit pretty quickly and it's pretty cool. And I can't believe the things that we were able to do overnight in marketing, at least.
I'm telling you, AI. At first, it scared me. It took me away a little bit. But once I really started to have people explain it, and once some people even put into perspective for me just how long we really were surrounded by AI and we didn't necessarily realize it or maybe
Right.
categorize it, that it was so crazy. I mean, I was just like, wow, like when you break it down like that and really put it in layman's terms, I understand it 110%. So, okay, now I understand that on this podcast, we've talked to a host of different people, from people who have their own clothing brands to serial entrepreneurs to people who make their own dog treats to health and wellness specialists, therapists, everything like that. Is what you do and the work that you are doing with the team, is this niche specific? Do you guys only work with certain brands or businesses, or can anybody kind of come to you in any field, any niche, any interest, and you can put something together for them one way or another?
I would say if you're my bestie starting a business, I'll help you come up with a strategy and a marketing plan. But I understand it. I could help you get started. But I personally, I have two particular fields that I like to play in. The main one being event marketing. So people putting on events. The second one being medical device. So those are the two industries over the past 17, 18 years that I have almost exclusively worked in. I've dabbled in some other industries here and there, a little bit of fintech, consumer goods, things like that, but I like to stick to those two.
Now, those I feel like not necessarily opposites, but I definitely do feel like they're on different ends of the spectrum in a sense. So, what about? But I guess but I could see how with medical device they could correlate just the same. But I want to know personally about you. What what piqued your interest in both of those? Honestly, for you to have stayed with them for so long and watched them evolve to what they are today.
Sure. So I just kind of fell into both of them. But what I love about, I'll start with medical device. It's a very unique situation, and you have to push yourself so much in marketing because essentially you're saying, this is my goal, but there is all this red tape that you have to work around with HIPAA and we're a medical device product and we're marketing to consumers, but our real customers are doctors and we need the doctors to push our product to their customers, but we also need to sell our product to the customers and then we'll never know if those customers actually become patients. So it's like it's just very interesting, a lot of red tape. Um, but it pushes you to be very creative, which sounds like it shouldn't. You would think like being stuck in a box would make you not creative, but I honestly think the more boundaries you have, like the more creative you have to get. And so I've really enjoyed that challenge and pushing myself and trying new things. And then with events, it's just so different from medical device that I love the fact that you can see the direct, tangible monetary results. So you're running a Facebook ad and you can see exactly how many sales that brought in and how much revenue that drove. And you can optimize in more real time because you know what's working and what's not. Where something like medical device, it can sometimes be a little bit longer game because you have to wait and see sales trends and things like that. Where events, you can see direct sales right away.
I'm gonna definitely have to emphasize and echo your point of the more boxed in you become, the more creative you get. It's like almost like something is closing in around you. And at first it's like you got a lot of room to move, operate. Oh, I could put something over here. I could do this here. I could do this here. When it's right around you, you're like, okay, I have to make this count. I can only do, but one or two moves could cost me this or could cost me that. So it definitely gets the wheels turning and the brain spinning. So I love that, and I love how you just explain that. And I love how sometimes falling into things like it may not necessarily have been what you envisioned or what you would have just handpicked had you been given an opportunity. But as you start to learn, as you see things grow and evolve right in front of you, it even piques your interest even more. And you start working with sometimes it's the people too. The people keep you around or what you're learning, the content, everything like that can help just the same.
Absolutely.
I'm big on future here. I'm big on one, and I'm going to say this. These are kind of going to be two separate things, but I want to touch on this first. So I'm big on just finding things out, just trying to get insight, just tapping into different industries and trying to be in the know in a sense. What do you feel like is the future, or what is going to be the potential outlook of digital marketing as we continue to move through the year, just through life? Because, if we think about 17, 18 years ago, so let's go like 2007, 2008, it was a simpler time. It was much simpler just in life. We didn't have to worry about half the things that we have to worry about. But between social media, between AI, just between everything of the sort kind of coming together, culmination of things kind of people wanting to compete, social media platforms wanting to kind of one up each other and everything like that. What does that look like? Do you think that this is going to just be something where we continue to dive into different avenues, explore different ways? Do you think social media sites are only going to continue to try to diversify, add different elements? Do you think content is going to continue to expand? Do you think things are dying out? Because I've heard some people talk about, they feel like not necessarily content is dying out, but these social media sites are coming up with so many different things to stay relevant, or because they just want to, or because consumers are not really engaged as they once were. So from your perspective, for what you've been doing and for what you've kind of, I feel like you guys are boots on the ground type since you and the team. What are you guys thinking? What have you guys been able to kind of come up with? What do you think moving forward, not only 2024, but for years to come?
Yeah. So if I do think back to the first couple years of my career, no way did I ever think that Facebook, one, was going to be available to people who are not college students and become this whole place where now people are marketing their business. Like that came out of nowhere to me, of just being focused on, when I first started marketing SEO, and even like people I was selling websites to at the time, the only marketing they were doing were buying yellow page ads. So that probably makes me sound very old, but that was for real what people were doing for marketing. And I would have to say, I'm not exactly sure how to put this into words, but there's a couple trends that I see that I think will really take off and evolve. One, I think the way that TikTok, the platform, the cohesiveness, it's not a place where you go to do one thing. It's not a place where you're going to just see your friends' updates. It's a place you're going to learn. It's a place you're going to search and research things. And it's a place where you're going to shop. Like they're trying to make it kind of like a one stop for many different things. And I think that's going to be a big trend because for many of you listening who are a freelancer or a consultant or starting your business, like, why are you doing it? Like, you're probably wanting to do it because you want this sense of freedom and like lifestyle entrepreneur where you don't have these like boundaries of like, I go to work 9 to 5 and these are the people that I interact with at work. And then I come home and I live a completely different life. Like, I like my life very fluid. The people I work with are my friends and like it's all one to me. And so I think uh a lot of platforms will take that approach of like it's all one. I don't know how else to describe it yet. No one's asked me to kind of put it into words. And then the other trend that I am watching closely, and I actually thought it would take off a little bit sooner, but it really hasn't hit quite yet, is the whole like metaverse marketing and being able to buy things in the metaverse. I think that's pretty cool. You kind of see it in things like, um, I don't know, like Fortnite and stuff, and just how like brands will market inside of that. Like, I think it's really cool. It's also very creepy, but it's also very cool to me.
Yeah, my little brother was really big on getting me into stuff like that, like the Fortnites and just putting things. And I was just like, yo, I don't under like the Minecrafts and I don't understand how y'all do all that, like all this VR and AR. And the coolest thing to me the other day, and I'm probably so late to the game to this. Well, it wasn't the other day. This was like months ago, y'all. So just it was still 2023. That's kind of relevant. I was online in Amazon, just aimlessly doing what people do on Amazon, just browsing, fell in a rabbit hole. I came across like furniture, like we were looking for bookcases or something like that. They have this like tool now that you can actually scan the QR code,
Uh-huh.
and I'm mind blown by this. And people are probably just like, "Bro, you never did that." And you can literally put it. So we put it in the corner of the room, and it'll show you the size of the bookcase. It'll let you place it. I thought that was just. I was like,
It's
that just, to me,
cool.
that's just wow. It was just like wow. I had like a grandpa moment. I was just like,
Yeah.
this always kind of been like that, or people just like, yeah, like you can do
It's
this, you can do that.
yeah, it is cool. Yeah. There's a Minecraft does like a Chipotle day where you in Minecraft, you go to Chipotle and you build a burrito, and then when you go to pay, they give you a coupon code that you take to the real Chipotle and get a free
Wow.
burrito, and it's so fun. I think stuff like
Wow.
that is so neat.
Oh, so I need to go get Minecraft because I love
You
me some
need a
Chipotle.
Minecraft account. I only log in for Chipotle free burrito day, but you need one.
This is why y'all tap into the Down to Business podcast. We just got y'all Chipotle. I know y'all love it. So hopefully you made it this far with us in the episode to find that out. So big shout out to Ashley for that. I told y'all she can help y'all out in so many different ways, getting your free food. Just make it happen. So, and my little
Yeah.
brother, look, if you knew that and didn't tell me, we're gonna have some problems. But now, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, cool. I also ask about the future perspective from a personal standpoint as well. So I'm very interested to, and not more so, well, obviously more so for me, you have nothing but Down to Business backing you through whatever you decide to do moving forward. But I'm also very interested for the people who are going to be tapping up into you for the first time, finding out about what you do, learning more. You may even be inspiring some people today to get into the digital marketing field, or some people may be in it, but you just kind of gave them a different approach now, or a different avenue. Is there anything that as we continue to move throughout this year, even think about the future outlook as well, that you're most excited for, that you are looking to get into any new, without disclosing anything or spoiling any surprises or anything like that? But is there anything, any new avenues that maybe you'll add in addition to event marketing and medical devices? Is there anything that you're kind of looking to be a part of? Anything that's kind of on your horizon right now that we can look forward to as we continue to move?
Yeah, so I have a startup called Ice Cream Social that I mentioned, and has nothing to do with ice cream really, but it's a social referral tool. And it's been really fun because, as I mentioned, I love the idea of optimizing your marketing. And essentially, Ice Cream Social turns all your customers into influencers for you through like gamification and some other things. And what I think is so cool about it is for our clients that are using it, of course, they're doing other marketing like email, SMS, Facebook ads, whatever the case may be. Once they've added in this element of influencer marketing, and I would say influencer because a lot of us have a different idea of what an influencer is. I think an influencer can be anyone who doesn't even have a social media account, because at the end of the day, we all have friends and families and we all tell people about things that we like. So this essentially uh, is great for those people who don't have a social network but want to share something with their mom or their sister. So uh, the cool thing that we found is once you've added in this element of influencer marketing to your marketing channels, it brings down the cost per acquisition of a customer for all your marketing channels, because you're essentially flooding your sales with word of mouth, which it's kind of one of those things where all boats rise with the tide. So I just think that's so fascinating, and we're excited to take that to kind of new realms of what does it look like? How do you, create a compelling offer? How do you incentivize these people to want to share your business?
I like that. I love the name. So it's not too much that y'all are gonna do and make happen that I'm in full support of it. Like I said, you a little bit with that, but no, I can always appreciate a future outlook and perspective, because it does two things for me. One, it lets me know that, well, but wait, there's more. That's like one of my favorite taglines. Like, I love this, the idea of that, while you came on here and provided so much insight and even told us what the future of this industry is going to look like, and even some things that are going on now, the free Chipotle, y'all don't forget it. But I also just love to always hear how the wheels are turning for y'all, and how behind, how a business owner, entrepreneur, anybody
Mhm.
within the startup field, they can give you so much that they're doing currently, that they've done, everything like that. But it doesn't stop. When this laptop closes, when this interview ends, the work still must go on. Tomorrow, the work still must go on. Even tonight, you may still have some things to do. She's on the West Coast, y'all. She's a little bit behind us right now. So, but no, even with that, it just kind of lets me know that their job not done. There's always kind of work to happen. But two, it also gives some insight to my people out there, because, like I said, we have a host of different people, niche audience, content creators, whatever you want to have, you people interested, that I feel like for this, sometimes they hear things, or they see things, or they read things online, and it may be confusing. And not all the time do they do the follow ups. Not all the time do they ask questions. But it's always good to just hear it word of mouth or from the source sometimes. Or sometimes, you can go to a website, you can read something, get a bio, and you're like, wow, I didn't understand most of that. I know they're doing some good things though, but it would just help to have a breakdown. And today I feel like, you just kind of break down what digital market is, what SEO is, what goes into everything. Got us in the medical device and event marketing and everything of the sort. So no, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, before we wrap up, before we tell the people everything outlet wise, website wise, where they can tap in, where they can find you, do you feel like there are any last words out there that you want to leave for business owners, for entrepreneurs, for people interested in this field, for people not interested in the field, but just anything that you want to leave for the people tapping in, or even anything that you feel like we haven't touched on today that you would love the people to know?
Sure. I'll leave with, how about I leave you guys with a book that's really helped me as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, intrapreneur, wherever you identify. Uh, there's this book. I actually have it right here on my desk because I was just talking about it earlier. So it's called The Desire Map. And I did this book for the first time. I'm not exactly sure how many years ago, maybe eight, maybe 10, I don't know. And it takes you through all these exercises, essentially written exercises. And at the end of the book, you come out with whatever works for you, 3 to 5 core desired feelings, how you want to feel in your day to day life. And this has tremendously helped me in my decision making, because especially if you're newer in your business or just starting out, like, you tend to say yes to everything that comes your way because you're just trying to grow, or you're just trying to, bring in the money, or whatever the case may be. And eventually that's great at first, but eventually you're going to hit a wall, and you're going to need boundaries, and you're not always going to be sure what that decision filter is. And so this book has helped me come up with those words that I use as my decision filter on what kind of opportunities I take on. And I like to do this workbook every 2 or 3 years, or like a new phase of life, because we evolve, we change, our priorities change. And so I've probably done this many times, 3, 4 times. And so every time I've done it, there's been one word that always comes through for me and that I've always kept. I mean, all the other words have changed. I don't want to feel that way anymore. I tried it on. It didn't work out the way I thought, whatever the case may be. And what that word is: freedom. And yes, very blessed here in the USA. Our term of freedom is very different than other people. So when I first started this book, the word freedom to me like meant financial freedom. Like, I wanted to grow my business. I wanted that financial freedom. And then as I evolved, I still wanted the word freedom, but the definition of it had changed for me. It was time freedom. I felt like I didn't have enough time. I had, children now. I had a lot of clients. Like, I needed time. And now that I've done it, that word of freedom still comes through. And now for me, it's more around opportunity, like having the freedom to choose, what do I want to work on? What do I want my life to look like? What are the different opportunities available? So I just find it very helpful, because when you do have to make a tough decision, especially if you are a solopreneur, you don't always have people that can help you, make these decisions. So it can be tough sometimes. And kind of understanding, what my core desired feelings are, have kind of helped me navigate that.
That was beautiful. I love that. And I think I just, well, one, I'm about to order that now, the Desire Map. I love a good recommendation. I love a good book. But no, that was a beautiful perspective. And it's beautiful to see how, while that word has stayed consistent, the aspect of it has changed. And I love how you've been able to look at it in different lights. And I think that that's amazing. And I think and I think that also speaks to something else, that there are different stages of the journey for everyone out there, that
Mhm.
you may feel this way for a certain amount of time. You may feel this way for a certain amount of time. You may feel that way for a certain amount of time. All of it was valid for that case in point, but it's just like, also, do you continue to feel that way, whether positive or negative? Do you stay content with that, whether positive or negative, or do you continue to grow and evolve from that? So I absolutely love that. Now, everything that you said today was amazing, was important, was gut wrenching, was mind blowing, eye opening, insightful, everything like that. But this is arguably the most important part of the interview. This is more so the call to action for the people out there to make something happen. Are they just going to kind of let what you said pass by the wayside, or will they act on it in some form of fashion? So for everybody out there tapping in, I know you kind of gave some throughout the interview, but can you please just let us know the best places to find you, to tap in with you if they're interested in exploring what you do, if they're interested in finding out more about Ice Cream Social, collaborating, anything of the sort? Give us everything you got.
Sure. You can learn more at icecreamsocial.io. Yeah, I'm going to trick you there. It's .io. Or you could go to ashley-stanford.com.
All right, y'all, not .com, .io. So we're switching it up a little bit. See, 17 years ago, I don't remember too many .ios, but now we got some .ios out there. So no, Ashley, from the down to business side, from me to you, thank you so much. One, just thank you for coming on here, for taking the time, for sharing everything. But thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for even teaching me something today, giving me a new book recommendation, giving me some free Chipotle if I so choose to, and everything of the sort. But no, really amazing to hear what you have going on. Wishing Ice Cream Social all the best of luck. And following along the journey, very excited for that, just the same. And now to everybody who's tapped in with me, I see some comments come through on Instagram, on Facebook. I thank y'all so much. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. This has been another episode of the Down to Business podcast here with Tamar Turner.